I'm sick, man. Guys, I don't even know. I don't even know what to say. I have never seen a team blow games like this team, like Neil's teams have. 38. They beat us 38-31 up there 2 years ago. 38-34 this time. How do you lose a game up 10 points when you a running football team? You are a running football team and you lose. You have a 10-point lead with 5 minutes to go and you lose the game. How? This is the worst loss in Neil Brown's tenure, and maybe it's recency bias on my part, guys. This was absolute. It's so hard for me not to say a gazillion cuss words right now. I'm really struggling not to be honest. This is absolute dog. It's ridiculous. This is so much like 2022. It ain't even funny. We heard all off season how good this team was. We heard how great the secondary was. Guys, this might be the worst secondary I've ever laid my eyes on. We had 3 guys on one, and they couldn't make a freaking play. Are you serious? 3 on 1, and you can't make a play? It is unbelievable. I've never in my life witnessed it that bad. Oh, God. Guys, Jonathan was I had invited Jonathan Martin to come on here with me, the guy who co-hosts the Golden Blue Breakdown Show. He said he had to calm down. He didn't even want to come on here. Thank you, Horror Realm, for the super sticker, man. Guys, I don't even know how to. I don't even know how I'm gonna do this show. I'm just on here to basically rant and vent with you all. Is all I'm gonna be able to do. There is no way. There is no barring them going undefeated or just barring them killing it in Big 12 play, which I don't even think is possible at this point. This staff's not going to survive. There is no way this staff survives this. They can't throw the ball downfield consistently. They can't cover downfield, obviously. Haven't been able to for 3 weeks. The running game was the only thing that worked. And why do you run? You have a 240-pound running back who isn't fast. C.J. Johnson is a freaking man. He played his butt off today. But he's 240 and his speed is not his game. And you run him outside? How many times? How many times did you try to run a slow running back to the outside? I'm freaking livid. This team probably won't make a bowl game. We're not going to beat Oklahoma State. We're not beating. Did y'all see Kansas State last night? We may not score 10 points on Kansas State. Garrett Green he looks like he's gotten worse. He's not even completing the downfield passes now. I don't know what to say. Our defensive, if Neil doesn't go, at least our defensive staff has to. This is, I'm about ready to pull a golden blue dude and start ripping shit up, man. I'm so freaking mad. I am so freaking mad. You guys are going to see the worst come out of me right now, man. This is freaking ridiculous. I don't. Are you guys this as mad as I am? Have you guys been throwing stuff and yelling and saying cuss words? Oh, my God. I don't even know, man. Guys, I'm sorry. I normally don't like doing shows like this, but man, I'm so freaking fed up. Daniel Gigax, thank you for the super chat, man. Let me see. I got a larger screen so my blind butt can see it. It says, I said I wasn't going to be worried until after KU. Now I'm really worried. You and me both, brother. I gotta give a shout out to my sponsor, guys, real quick before I forget. Since 1931, the attorneys at Katz, Cantor, Stone Street, and Buckner have been the voice for victims who have suffered serious injury or death. They have a fierce passion for truth and justice and a sincere compassion for those who have been wronged by others. Whether you have been in a car accident or fighting with an insurance company, or you or a loved one has suffered serious injury or death due to medical negligence, we will ensure your voice is heard loud and clear. Katz, Cantor, Stone Street, and Buckner will ensure there is justice for all West Virginians because we are your lawyer, your voice. Visit us at yourlawyeryourvoice.com. All right. Thank you all for being patient, letting me get through that. I have to pay the bills. And thank you to Katz, Cantor, Stone Street, and Buckner for supporting me here. I want to represent them well, so I'm going to try my best not to be too over the top here. But, guys, it's all I can do not to cry, not to throw stuff, kick stuff, yell really bad cuss words. You name it. I'll be honest with you. I'm so freaking pissed off right now. I can't see straight. I have no doubt Neil Brown's a nice person. I have no doubt his staff are nice people. Garnett Hollis, I had on my show. He's an awesome young man. Wonderful young man. No doubt about it. Most of the players on that team are awesome young men. But they're not getting the job done, man. There has got to be changes made. Thank you again, Horror Realm. I really appreciate it. There has got to be changes made on this staff. After this, how do you not? Like I said, barring some kind of miraculous finish in Big 12 play, that's, I guess, is still possible. I don't see how they survive it. You just cannot keep losing these games. I mean, in year 6, you should be winning these types of games, not losing them. Neil Brown has said how many times the steps of a team, first you're bad, you lose badly, then you lose close games, then you win close games, and then you start beating teams soundly, right? That's where we should be right now. Let's talk about the officiating. One of my buddies just texted Big E7375. Thanks for the super chat, my brother. He says, should have never let a die leave Morgantown. Yeah, I don't know, man. I think he had his issues too. Outlaw Sports with Jesse on here. Thank you, brother. He says, you look like Brian Kelly throwing a tantrum. Well, I'm sure you throw tantrums when your team loses. But yeah, thanks for the super chat, brother. I appreciate you. Yeah, I'm definitely not going to be Gotta read this one. Thank you for the super chat, even though you're probably gonna piss me off. The better team won today. What do you expect? Big Aaron says that was worse than a Hail Mary last year. Yeah, because it was freaking Pitt, number one. And it's year 6. And we heard all season how great they were. I'm freaking sick of it, man. Dalton Logan, thank you for the $9.99 donation, man. Let me see if you made a comment afterwards. I didn't see a comment, but I'll look for one if you want to leave it in the Shaggy of WV says it's time to fire up the Fire MB page. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I am going to, first off, let me look at the stats real quick. Let's look at the team stats. Real quick. Obviously, 38-34 was the final score. Make sure that's sharing like it's supposed to. There we go. All right. First downs. West Virginia was 3 of 14 on third down, 3 of 4 on fourth down. So they were, what, 6 of 18 on, drive-ending downs. Pitt was only 1 of 8. Total yards, West Virginia won the yardage battle. Pitt had 301 yards passing. That was really the penalties. But they were 21 of 30. That was a problem. We were only 16 of 30. Terrible. 2 interceptions. Did have 191 yards rushing. Look at that. They had 12 penalties for 112 yards, and we still lost the freaking game. Unbelievable. I'll tell you what killed West Virginia, guys. First off, let me talk about the officiating sucked in this game. That holding penalty on Wyatt Milam, in my opinion, was ticky-tack. The holding penalty on, or the pass interference or whatever, or the holding, I think it was, on Garnett Hollis. I think it was earlier in the game. That was ticky-tack. I thought the pass interference call on Bartholomew at the end was ticky-tack, but I don't think that would have mattered. They would have scored anyway. Our guys got held the entire game. They caught a few of them, but not much. I thought the officiating was absolutely atrocious in this game. But I'm not going to blame it on that because West Virginia had chances to win the game. They were up 10 points, couldn't hold the freaking lead because they can't play. Look, the defensive line did all they could to win this football game, okay? West Virginia's defensive line played their tails off today. DJ Jackson got in that backfield all night, all day, all afternoon. Just couldn't get it done. David Cummings says you don't lose a 10-point lead late in the fourth. High schools don't do that. Shameful. Absolutely. And John, I told you the rest weren't the reason for the loss, man. So if you want to quit running your trap, you can do that now. I appreciate you. Anyway, Dalton Logan says it seems like they find the plays that work and intentionally avoid them. On top of that, running up the gut on 3rd and 10 plus multiple times the game blows my mind. And like I said earlier, running your slow back to the outside, that made no sense to me. Why do you do that? Ridiculous. Daniel Gigak says, at Chris, I don't want Glenville's former coach back. I'm assuming he's talking about Rich Rod. Yeah, we don't need Rich Rod, guys. There's a lot of good coaches out there. If they decide to make a change, they'll find somebody. The officiating was bad, but again, it didn't. Now, look, if you're watching on, I haven't even given a shout out to those who are watching on X. I thank you all for who are watching on X. If you want to check out my past content, come check out my YouTube channel. Please subscribe to the channel. You'll see my stuff I've already posted and stuff, future live streams as well. If you have your notifications on, you will be notified of those. We got another super chat here from Outlaw Sports with Jesse. He says, yeah, I do throw fits. The way you threw down your fist with the bottle is what I was talking about. Looked like Brian Kelly. Yeah, I know it was just a joke, brother. I'm a little sensitive right now. I appreciate your support, man, and I appreciate the super chat. I really do. But yeah, I'm sure I do look like an idiot, but I'll tell you what, the team earned it. The team earned my frustration, if that makes sense. Or I earned it watching them. That's a better way to put it. Big Aaron, thank you for the super chat, my man. He says, WV Metro and 3 guys cannot excuse this being NB fans. They're not going to say, the one thing they can't do is say fire the staff. They're not going to do that. No media. You will not see a media site likely do that because they would probably lose access. Well, I don't have access. I don't like doing that. Okay. I try hard not to say fire people. I just don't. I don't. It ain't like they're not trying, but this is a business, and this is the worst. We just came off the worst 4-year stretch of West Virginia football in history. The 2019 through 2023 seasons. Last year they turned it around. This is a year we should, now's when you continue the progress, right? How is this continuing the progress when you can't cover anybody in the secondary? Almost the entire time this staff has been here, their secondary has struggled, We've got Anthony Zappin in here. He says, fire Neil Brown now. Hire Jimbo Fisher. Man, I hate to tell you, I don't think Jimbo's the answer either. Jimbo he didn't succeed at Texas A&M. He had things had went downhill at Florida State before he left. Florida State wasn't good when he left either. Jeremy Croy, thank you for being a channel member. He says, I don't know how you can speak in front of people after this. It's not easy, Jeremy. I'll be honest with you, man. Stanley Metz in the house. Thank you, Stanley. He says this loss and the way we lost is proof that we need a coaching change, and it shows last year's 9 and 4 was more due to give to soft schedule than actual improvement. Shake my head. John Kelly, who's usually Mr. Optimistic and positive, and I always appreciate John. He usually helps keep me level-headed. He says, season's over, my friend. Need a new staff soon as possible. Man. Daniel Gigak says, Big Ears Bo, I'm giving the Country Roads Trust at $500 a year. I don't know if I should keep up the money. Chris D says, Jimbo's not the answer. John Waffle H2P says, St. Nick ain't coming. Man, it'd be nice. I would take him in a heartbeat. Shaggy of WV says, can we get to 5 wins? Well, considering that teams are just going to throw the ball on us now, I don't know. I mean, I think they can. I mean, see, Cincinnati, they can beat. Look at the schedule real quick. We've got they should be able to beat Kansas at home. Arizona doesn't look very good, but that's an away game, so that one's iffy. They should beat Cincinnati. There's 3. Baylor at home, at Texas. I don't know. I see about 6 wins on the schedule the rest of the season. I predicted 8 and 4. At this point, I'm not sure they get there. I would probably change my prediction today to 6 and 6 if I had to do it again after this one. Big Aaron says you could tell Pitt's coach wanted it so much more than Brown. I don't know that I agree with that, Aaron. Neil's just typically not an emotional guy. He's not one of those guys that, shows a lot of emotion on the sidelines, or at least he tries not to. But that's, but I respect your opinion. Tom French says Jamie Chadwell at Liberty should be packing his bags and moving to Morgantown immediately. I tell you, what about UNLV's staff? Their head coach has P5 experience. He used to coach at Missouri and did pretty decent there. And their offensive coordinator looks, their offense didn't look good yesterday, but their defense did. I know Cincy almost had Pitt too, Shaggy. WVU fan 13, thank you for the generosity, man. He says, Neil Brown has to go now. We cannot wait another game. Fans need to protest and voices need to be heard. This was typical scared Neil Brown. Sits on a 10-point lead to win, loses by 4. This is worse than middle school. Thank you for the thank you for the super chat, man. Matt Dix says WVU can beat Kansas and Baylor and Cincy. Kyler says I'm out on Brown. Man, pretty much the consensus is clear. Looks like everybody's wanting change here. Chris D says 4-8 if we're lucky. Make sure I'm not missing any super chats here, y'all. I thank you all for the support here. If you guys want to make sure your chat gets seen, because I got a lot of people in here, almost 1,000 people watching the show right now all together between both platforms. So a lot of comments flying in here. If you want to make sure yours gets seen, you can drop me a super chat, hit the $ near the chat box if you want to air your frustrations. And I'll tell you what I may even do here. I'm going to do something I normally don't do. I'm going to post a link if you guys want to come on here and have a vent session. I just ask that you please try to keep it PG-13 at least. No F-bombs. No using GD. But other than that, there's the link if anybody wants to come on and vent and to talk about this game. because I'm running out of things to say, guys, other than just throwing a fit and acting like an idiot. Looks like we got our first. T. Hall, how you doing? Can you hear me? Looks like we're waiting on a connection. Can you hear me, T. Hall? While we're waiting on your connection, I'm going to go ahead and bring Daniel in, okay? I'll get right to you once your connection is able to sync up. What's up, Daniel?
That was ugly. Well, let me be more specific. You're up 10. You shouldn't lose a game.
Especially when you're a running football team who's been running the ball down the other team's throat for 3 quarters.
Exactly. And this reminds me of the brawl that happened in 2022.
Yep.
Last year's Houston game. And, when was it? The Oklahoma game, I want to say that was in 2021, where we led the entire game and lost by a last-second field goal. I'm trying to remember what year that one was.
Who did we lose to?
Oklahoma.
Oh, yeah, 2021, I think.
I want to say, yeah, somebody in chat will know exactly what year it was.
Yep.
You know the way I have been on this. I've been pretty optimistic the entire time, thinking,
yep, absolutely,
yeah, things looked a little bad, but hey, guess what? We're going to put it together. Penn State just absolutely ran over top of us. Okay. Then turn around Albany. I mean, won Albany by 35, and there were a couple holes here and there. It wasn't just defense that lost this game today. There was a lot of bad play to go all around.
Yep. Does Garrett Green look like himself to you?
Garrett Green looks scared. And I don't know. I mean, everybody talked about the Manning camp he went to, how great he looked at Manning camp and all the other stuff. And he doesn't look the same. He looks like, honest to God, he looks like, what was it? JT Daniel did a couple of years ago. A lot of hype coming in. Everybody thought that he was going to be it. And next thing you know, you're wondering what the heck happened.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. But, yeah, I agree. I still think, though, I mean, we failed to push the ball downfield like we should. But I still think as good as West Virginia ran the football today, they had a chance to win the game, and the defense blew it, to be honest with you.
Exactly.
But you're right. We thought the offense was going to be dominant, and they haven't been dominant at all. We thought the pass game was going to be better. It wasn't better.
They did put points up, but then again, you had that 14-point swing where you scored a touchdown. It came back for a hold.
Mm-hmm.
Turned back around, had the block field goal. I mean, sorry, not block field goal, block punt, and they took it in for a touchdown. My wife said that is the most West Virginia football play that she's ever seen in her entire life.
Yep.
And she's about the same age as me. She grew up in Boone County. Guess what? She's seen a lot of football.
Yep. I agree.
So,
well, Daniel, man, I appreciate you. You want to hang out a few minutes, or I've got a couple other people wanting to get on. You're welcome to hang out, or you can.
No, I got things I got to do. I got to go pick up my daughter, actually.
All right, brother.
So, all right. Thanks, man.
Thanks for coming on, man. Thank you for your support of the show. T Hall in the house. T Hall, how you doing?
What's up, Couz? I hate to meet you on these terms, man.
Yeah, same here, man. But I appreciate you coming on, and let's cry together.
Thanks for having me, man. I gathered up all my West Virginia gear and had a little moment where I contemplated some things, but then the Pittsburgh native girlfriend, Pennsylvania girlfriend, talked me out of it. Very upsetting loss, very embarrassing. I don't know what else to say. I think when you have something going for CJ Donaldson, like just hammering it right down the middle, and then you start running him east to west, like he's Noel Devine, that's not who he is. I don't know where that play calling is coming from. It's got to be Neil Brown, I'd imagine. I don't want to just turn this into a roast on Neil Brown, but something's got to change.
Yeah, definitely. I think you're one of about 1.7 million people saying the same. And obviously, I'm exaggerating that number, but you get my point.
Yeah,
pretty much every fan is. I mean, I haven't seen a comment yet that, at least of the ones I've been able to read, that doesn't want him gone or doesn't want some kind of change anyway.
Yeah,
whether it be Jordan Leslie, whether it be Neil, something.
Right. Defense.
I appreciate you. Oh, sorry. I appreciate you not burning your gear.
We have to. You can't be doing that,
but hey,
God,
it's
rough, man.
Yeah, it was. Hey, I did consider ripping my shirt off, but I'm not Hulk Hogan, so it wouldn't work for me.
Yeah, yeah. The last guy said it's very reminiscent of 2022. It is the pick six, the way the defense played. Pitt's a good team. Pitt's a better team than we give them credit to be, too.
Yeah, maybe. I just have a hard time saying that out loud.
I know.
Because I'll be honest with you, their defense, their run defense is not good at all, in my opinion.
Right, I agree.
We dominated them at the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. And usually, when you do that, you win games. That's what's so upsetting about it is we dominated them at the line of scrimmage and still lost the game. You just don't normally see that, you know.
It's a shame.
We got Zach in the house. Zach, what's up? Can you hear me, Zach?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Get it off your chest, man. What do you got?
It's time. He's got to go. There are no more excuses. There's nothing else that he can do. The mediocrity has continued for 6 years now. I mean, it's just time. It's time to cut him loose. I don't care who the interim is. Doesn't matter. We don't need to use Leslie as the scapegoat and give him one more year. I mean, the defense has been bad for the last 3 years under Leslie?
Yeah.
I mean, it shouldn't take you 3 years as a head coach to see that your best friend is not cut out to be a defensive coordinator in the in a Power Four.
Hey, somebody mentioned that earlier, and I was talking to a friend, somebody on I was messaging with a friend during the game, and somebody mentioned that to me, and I said, you know what, even Dana, remember when Dana hired his friend as the D coordinator?
Yep, DeForest.
And they sucked. What happened? Then he demoted him to like a special teams coordinator. Well, then the special teams sucked. So guess what happened? DeForest went down the road. You know?
Yeah. I mean, to the point about the offense.
Yep.
How many plays have we watched over the last 6 years where one side of the field is flooded with 3 to 4 West Virginia receivers running routes? The route concepts in this offense are just absolutely abysmal. If it's not 4 verts, it's 3 people crowding the same area, and there's no creativity. Like, how many times can anybody think of one game where Neil Brown goes, "Yep, he out-schemed that team and we won because of him"?
Hold on, nobody. I got a comment here. John Christophic says West Virginia should not fire Neil Brown. Neil Brown is a good coach.
Well, we can agree to disagree.
I don't think John is a West Virginia fan, but I could be wrong. John, are you a West Virginia fan, or are you what? Let me know what team you're a fan of. I know John watches a lot of my stuff and he comments a lot, but I don't think I've ever known who his actual favorite team is. Because if he is, he's the first West Virginia fan in this chat that I've seen say that.
There are a lot of Neil Brown defenders, and I would be very curious if they still feel that way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've somewhat defended him. to a degree, cautiously, obviously, but I mean, I just don't know.
Well, so I was on the fire Neil Brown train last year, even after the 9-win season.
Oh, were you? Okay.
I definitely was. I think we were the benefits of a very weak schedule. And then, the 9 wins was like, okay, he's got momentum going. Let's see what we can do this year. Maybe he's turned a corner. And I don't think they turned a corner. I think we've regressed.
We look worse. We look worse.
We look entirely. Yeah, I don't know. We don't even look like we belong in a Power 4 conference right now.
We look like a JUCO team.
Yes, I would agree with that.
Go Mart. We look like we are sponsored by Go Mart. Honestly, JUCO Go Mart team.
Me and my family and friends that I've watched the games with through the years have all had the same opinion. He coaches like he's still at Troy, like he still is the just vastly under-talented team, and that's how he has to coach to win.
Yeah,
and I don't really know what else to say. It's just it's time. It's time to just pull the cord, And I've seen a couple people talk about, well, who would you get? Because for whatever reason, that is the excuse that people like to run to first. Look, I'm not saying we get Nick Saban, but you do have to make him say no, first and foremost. It's not going to happen, but you do have to make him say no. After that, call Jimbo. Yeah. I'm sorry, I don't mean to keep cutting you off.
No, you're good. I'm cutting you off, I guess. It's my bad. We've heard Nick Saban talk how many times that he's still a Mountaineer at heart. He loves the state. And it's his home. And we know what, during the basketball search, Ren Baker called all the big names. He called Jade Wright. He called a lot of these big names that he probably knew would say no, but he's like, you know what, you got to make those calls. So why not, right? All they can do is say no. Make them say no.
You go from him to, regardless of how people feel about Jimbo's tenure in A&M, I think he actually did just par for the course. That program just habitually underachieves. But after that, what about Andy Kotelnicki?
That's not a bad name.
That's a guy that actually schemes and wins because of scheme and not necessarily because of talent. And when we've been at our best as a program, it's because we do things that nobody else does. And it just
absolutely.
Rich
Rod, the spread offense when he brought it in was something nobody else was doing at the time. The 3-3-5 defense was something nobody else was doing at the time. You look at our basketball programs. John Beilein was running an offense nobody else was running, right? So you're right. Most of our good teams, it's because West Virginia is different than everybody else. But anyway, well, guys, I've got a bunch of people wanting to get on. If you don't mind, Zach and T. Hall, I'm going to I appreciate you guys coming on. I'm going to give some of these other fans give them somebody else a chance to vent for a minute. Y'all have a good one. Thank you.
Thanks, bro.
Hunter, you on here?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you. How you doing?
All right. Oh, I got a lot to say. I'm going to try to keep it brief. I know you got a lot of people waiting.
Go for it.
So, just trying to get my thoughts together. I've never been the one to just hate on Neil Brown, but I've always done my best to be a realistic fan. And here's the thing, honestly, about Neil Brown's tenure at WVU. He's in his 6th season. Currently, he's 32-31. We have one more win than loss. He has no big wins. Now, last year we had, I would consider probably maybe not a big win, but a pretty decent win when we went to TCU and beat them. I thought that was a really good sign, and I was actually really hopeful for this season.
Mm-hmm.
But the bottom line is that today, as continues to happen with Neil Brown teams in big games, we just choke everything. And it comes straight down to the coaching, in my opinion. So, for example, I'm looking at, we have a bunch of momentum. We stop them on 4th down. We have 3 timeouts and the ball at midfield with 1:30 left until half. What do? We run 4 straight running plays and chew the clock down to 30 seconds before we even take our first timeout. This is an example of horrible clock management.
Mm-hmm.
You want to talk about where the game is lost? That's how you lose games. You can't manage the clock. We had a great opportunity at that moment to, I think we could have taken the lead instead of tying it up with that field goal. We had a great opportunity to take the lead right before half, had a bunch of momentum coming off a big fourth down stand. And for some reason, we literally just almost ran out the clock, essentially. So that's number one. But then number two, what are we doing when we're up 10 with like 4:50 left? They score a touchdown. For one, I mean, obviously they caught the touchdown in triple coverage.
Triple freaking coverage.
Absolutely ridiculous. But then we get the ball back, and the first two plays we run are two runs. Now, the first play is a run east to west with CJ, and the second one is a run straight up the gut. So essentially what Neil was trying to do, because this is how he's always played these games and coached these games, he's trying not to lose. He's trying to play defensive, and he's trying to secure the win by running and burning as much clock as he can. But ironically, by trying to secure the win, that's what lost us the game. So then we have a big, long 3rd down and 9 or whatever, and then Garrett Green gets sacked. They get the ball back, and obviously we know the result. But the bottom line is there are several points in this game where you can look at completely on the head coach, completely on Neil Brown and his decision-making, whether it's horrible clock management, whether it's playing so defensively all the time, whether it's horrible play calling. I understand our defense right now. Our secondary is awful. Our D-line played amazing today. It shocked me because I thought Pitt must have the worst line in the league, because we couldn't even hardly get any pressure on Albany's quarterback last week. And how many sacks did we get today? How many pressures? I mean, our D-line and our linebackers played, I think, a great game today.
Yes, they did.
But there were some plays, I think, some signs from our secondary until the last 4 minutes of the game. There were some signs of our secondary of, I would say, a little bit of improvement. We could have had a pick six. We had several deflections. We had one deflection that turned into a fluke gain for 25 yards for them. But I thought the secondary played a little bit better the majority of the game, except for the last 4 minutes. So,
Can I interject a second?
Go ahead.
A couple things you said there I'm going to politely disagree with. The only reason the secondary looked better is because Eli Holstein wasn't able to get a pass off for most of the second half, to be honest, to be fair. He didn't throw a lot of balls in back there because the D-line was in his face every single snap.
Right.
Number one. And two, you talked about the could have had a pick six. You know how many could-haves on turnovers this team has had the last 3 or 4 years?
Right.
How many interceptions have they dropped the last 2 seasons? It is unbelievable how many balls they drop in the secondary.
Yep.
I'm so sick of the could-haves. The could-haves and would-haves and should-haves have lost his team too many games over the last few years, man.
Yeah, you're right.
They've been this close for 3 years.
You're right. Well, let me ask you a question. So what happened? What happened there the last 5 minutes of the game where what's Pitt's quarterback's name? Is it Holstein?
Eli Holstein.
Holstein. Why did Holstein the last 5 minutes of the game get like 60 QB scramble yards? I mean, it was egregious.
They couldn't tackle him. There was 2 different times that I remember off the top of my head. They literally had him wrapped up and let him get away.
Yeah, I mean, it was egregious. I mean, we were pressuring him, sacking him most of the game. And then the last 2 drives that Pitt had, I mean, he scrambled for, I want to say, and this is off the top of my head. I mean, I want to say he scrambled for at least 3 first downs. Now, I might be wrong about that, but to me, that sounds right. And right at the end of the game, we see that collapse. Listen, that's what we saw in the Penn State game. I mean, we saw at the big key critical moments, our defense collapsed, and the quarterback was able to rush for a first down.
Yep.
So it just seems to me like, honestly, we are the better football team. I believe we're better than Pitt. I think the signs are there to show it. But I just think we did what we always do, typical WVU fashion, but especially in the Neil Brown era. We just absolutely
Gave
do
it away.
everything we can to just choke away the big games. And listen, Pitt wasn't a big game as in that there's some really great team this year and there's some big ranked opponent. No, it's not a big game in that sense, but it's a big game in the sense of pressure. It's the backyard brawl. Neil Brown came into this game knowing I need to win this game, and he couldn't do it. And the reason he couldn't do it is because he failed under pressure, as he consistently does. And I'm sorry, you can't coach the Mountaineers if that's how you're going to coach consistently.
Yep.
It's ridiculous.
That's fair, man. I appreciate you for coming on and giving us your thoughts.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, bud. I appreciate it.
I'm just trying to give everybody an opportunity to vent here a little bit.
Yep, thanks, man.
All
Appreciate
right,
it.
thank you, Hunter. All right, Dalton, let's get you on, man. Dalton, how we doing? Oh,
all things considered, how you doing, Couz?
I'm good, man.
So before I go out and try to work off this disgruntled energy in a healthy way, I want to bounce some things off you and see if I'm just crazy or if I have a decent vision of what's going on. And
Okay.
I'm going back and watching the game now. Actually, I'm with 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter. And I noticed that we held them to a total of 5 offensive yards in the first 15 or the first 20 minutes of the second half.
Yep.
And after that, everything collapsed. And something I noticed during that time is that when they would try to send the ball down the field, that is the first time that our DBs would play within 8 yards of the ball or start to play within 8 yards of the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is one of our major issues with our secondary is we're playing so far off the ball. We're letting them do whatever they want in front of us, either stunt on us or cut us off or get us caught in crossing routes or throw the ball under us. And then if they don't do that, run whatever route they want and get us caught up and get past us on our outside shoulder, and they can catch anything that's thrown.
Yeah.
That's
a great observation. I've been complaining about that for the last ever since Jordan Leslie's been the defensive coordinator. I've been complaining about it'll be 2nd and 10. I'm just throwing out a theoretical example. And the DB will be 15 yards off the receiver. And I'm going, wait a minute. I could get 10 yards playing that coverage.
Yep.
It just doesn't make any sense to me, But it tells me also that you don't have enough faith in your defensive backs to let them cover a man one-on-one, that you've got to keep everything in front of you.
Yeah. And I mean,
so you know what? Recruit better defensive backs or coach them better. One of the two.
I agree. And I think that although I disagree with some of the calls in the game, that now given that's not the reason we lost, I think that the calls that we do get honestly, that's the reason, because we're forced to catch up.
Yep.
In the secondary. And moving to the offensive side, I know my biggest pet peeve is us running up the gut 3-4 times in a row, even 5 times in a row. If we get 3 yards on it every time, whatever, that's cool. But eventually, I mean, they're intelligent people. They're going to figure out that you're going to run it up the gut 6 times in a row. And on top of that, trying to leverage the short side of the field with drawn out screenplays because you're trying to add window dressing. Mm-hmm. It drives me nuts, because a screenplay that should take maybe a second or 2 at the most to dump off is taking 4 or 5 seconds to develop before the ball even gets in the receiver's hands.
Agreed. Yeah, it's frustrating, man. And it just seems to me last year I was actually pretty pleased with Neil Brown's play calling. I thought he did a better job of mixing things up. It seemed to me in this game he only had like a handful of plays he was running the entire game. And it's
I agree. Yeah.
And I don't know if it was Pitt's defense preventing them from doing anything else, and obviously I don't know the answer to this, or did he not have enough confidence in his offense to do more than that? That's what I'm scared of. Yeah. Garrett Green has not been able to throw the ball downfield consistently like he did a year ago.
Yep.
He threw the ball downfield very few times, and when he did, he was overthrowing his guys, or they were running bad routes, or whatever. But the passing game is just not where I thought it would be. Yep. We are a one-dimensional football team, unfortunately, it looks like right now, and teams are just, like you said, it doesn't take a genius to say, okay, they're going to run up the middle.
Yeah, and I agree with everything you said. Now, one thing that I do think is going on, and you mentioned confidence, I think that's the issue, And you saw when we were rolling in the third quarter and the beginning of the fourth, Neil Brown started to open up the offense. We were able to get the ball downfield some. Garrett Green started looking comfortable. And if you look at his demeanor, he started seeming happy. That's something I'm watching right now. You can see in their demeanor, once they close the game back down and slow it down, just trying to not lose instead of trying to win. Like I'm watching right now, they're all like shoulders forward, hunched over. I mean, obviously they're tired, but like you can tell that they're annoyed. And I don't think that if this continues and if we keep playing to not lose, I don't think the players are going to be motivated to give a damn, quite frankly, about what happens.
That's fair.
But I appreciate the time, Couz. I'm going to go out and get on this run so I can try to calm down. So
hey,
have a great night.
Good job. Hey, thank you, man. You're doing the right thing, getting burning it off in a positive way. Have a good afternoon, man.
You too.
Mark, how we doing? Mark, you there? Mark, can you hear me? Mark, hello. I guess Mark is on mute. Mark, are you on mute?
Can you hear me?
I got you. How you doing?
Okay. All right, you can hear me.
I can.
I don't know. I'm pretty upset. I feel like that game. I feel like after we got up 10 points, we kind of like sat there and relaxed back, and I feel like that's what this team's turned into. That they just relax so much that they think that they're just going to coast to the wind. And yeah, it's aggravating because I've been a Mountaineer fan since I was little, and I live in Tennessee, and I still back them.
Right.
And I don't know. I feel like we're going to need a new coach. I was sitting and talking to my family the other day that without a new coach, this team ain't going nowhere. I just don't see us ever getting anywhere. I really don't ever see us getting to the college football playoff or anything like that. I know that might be a big thing to look, way ahead to be looking at, but I just don't feel like we're going to be able to compete for even the Big 12 championship. So
yeah. Yep. And I see I see some of these comments on X that for some reason I'm not able to. I don't know. Anyway, one guy said they basically came unglued.
Yeah.
In the end.
Yeah, they did. They definitely came unglued. And then I seen where evidently, because I got ESPN updates, and I seen where that Pat Narduzzi was sitting there saying stuff about West Virginia and then talking about how the refs were, which I think the refs were awful anyways, but I know they're going to talk smack. I can't handle it. Sometimes I get so upset that I want to throw something at my TV, and I'm like, no, I don't want to do that.
Well, I almost did. I did throw my phone, but fortunately it wasn't at the TV. Dude, this is the maddest I've been over a game. I mean, the Houston game last year was bad, but I think this one was worse. I really do. Because I knew coming into this game that if we lose it, this thing can unravel. And because I just don't see – there are so many – I mean, I don't see us beating Oklahoma State. I don't see us beating Kansas State. Maybe Arizona. I don't know. I mean, Arizona with that quarterback and receiver they have, who do we have that can cover that guy?
Yeah.
I mean, our secondary has been so bad. I don't know, man. I mean, our defensive front basically had to almost win the game for us in the second half. They basically had to just keep him from throwing the ball. If you keep the quarterback from throwing the ball, we're okay. But you can't do that every time.
No, you can't.
There's no front seven in football that's that good.
No. And like you said, I mean, the secondary is just horrible. I could even see it last week when they were playing against Albany. They didn't look that good either. And I mean, that game right there last week was even upsetting me for a little bit because they were letting them come back when they shouldn't have been. West Virginia has a hard time. They have an easy time sometimes getting ahead, but they don't keep their foot on the gas, and that's the problem.
Yep, everybody.
That's exactly.
Yep, that's pretty much all the callers before you have said the same thing, man. he plays so conservative. And like I was saying a minute ago, it's like he has a handful of plays he runs, or at least today he did. And he just wouldn't get off of those plays, even if they didn't work. Like that stretch run play to C.J. Donaldson. He ran it 3 times, and neither time did it get a yard.
Oh yeah, I was screaming at my TV when he was doing that.
What are you
Because
doing?
I was like, "What the heck is he doing?" That's stupid. And then like that one guy said, where they was running it up the middle. I mean, Pitt knew what we were going to do before we were going to do it, and like trying to run that clock out like that was not going to work. You were going to have to do something else to change it up on them, and I guess he didn't have nothing. And he didn't even look like he was phased. I mean, that's one thing that upsets me about him is I know that's not him, but like if I was on the sideline and I know I'm just a couch quarterback or coach or whatever you want to call it, but I would be very upset, especially during this game.
Yeah, dude, I'm with you. I don't know. I just don't know where they go. Where do they go from here? I mean, this is so demoralizing. And I know the players are demoralized. I know they played their hearts out. I have no doubt they gave it everything they had. I just don't know where they go from here. I mean, they got to turn around and try to figure out a way to play Kansas next week and put this game behind them, which is not going to be easy.
Yeah, because Kansas is going to be upset because of look what just happened to them on Friday night. I mean, they're going to be rearing to go. I'm kind of still afraid of possibly losing to Kansas. I don't see very many wins. Like that one person was saying about that Cincinnati almost beat Pitt. I mean, really, this would be crazy, but could we go the whole season without not winning again? I could definitely see it because of just how they played. And I know that's out on a limb, going out on a limb there, but I can feel it. Yeah. I'm just disgusted. I'll probably get over it, but it's okay.
Yeah, I will too eventually. But man, it's gonna take a few days. I'm not gonna lie to you. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's I have a feeling there's gonna be a lot of people who are pretty important, a lot more important than me or you, as far as the program goes. They're not going to be happy about this. So
no, I doubt it. So
people that pay people that help pay their salaries. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I mean, the biggest thing is if these players don't feel like they're getting what they're wanting out of this, I mean, maybe they want to even move on. I mean, I know that's I was saying that thing too. Like, I feel like since the NIL has gotten involved, it feels like that's what's kept West Virginia from getting players. Because I know we're a poor state. Like I said, I was born and raised in West Virginia, so I know it's poor. Mm-hmm. So I feel like even with that, we're way behind the 8 ball, and I just, yeah. I could go down a tangent. I could go on and on because I feel like we messed up by moving to the Big 12, even though I know that was something they wanted to do. I feel like we would have been better off in the ACC or something like that. But things are things.
ACC turned us down, though. So I don't think they had a choice.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I feel like they could have went a better route, but there's nothing that can be done now. You can't undo it. So, but.
I agree, man. Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate. The Big 12 hasn't been kind to West Virginia as far as their success. But I'm not going to blame the Big 12 for that. No,
I mean, because even when we first went in back in 2012, we had a Geno Smith and all them. I feel like even at that point, of course, all the teams were stacked then. So I mean, I felt like eventually we might get a chance, but I feel like even now that we might have a chance, we don't have the coaching staff, and I feel like we still don't even have the players. So, yeah.
Chris. Go ahead.
I'll let you get somebody else up here. I'm glad I was able to vent because it was upsetting me too, and that's why I had to get on to somewhere and watch it. I love watching your podcast and everything. So
thank you, man. I appreciate the support.
Yeah.
Appreciate you coming on and pouring your heart out to us, man.
All right.
Take care.
Mm-hmm.
Chris D says more people need to be upset with Leslie rather than NB. Fair statement. Obviously, they go hand in hand, but the majority of our problems is their defense. I agree, Chris. Look, the offense has its issues, but it didn't lose us the game. No way, shape, or form did it lose us the game. All right. Look, for the Pitt fans in here, as long as they're not being disrespectful, it's hard to say much. Their team won the game. Redbone, why would he transfer? He'll be the starting quarterback next year. He'll have a chance to be the guy who turns it around. Let me see what comments we got here. Too many to keep up with. See again. Oh, I got a couple super chats I think I might have missed here. Let me get to them. Got Andy Abel. Says we won't win another game. Won't coach. Worst coaching staff ever. Andy, thank you for the comment, my man, and thank you for the donation. There's a lot of people that has the same opinion as you, my man. Tax Sprint, awesome. Thank you for the most generous donation, brother. He says, love watching your channel, man. Tough loss, but got to get back at it again. Kansas, just keep moving forward. Tax Sprint, thank you for the positivity, man. When all of us are on here feel like the sky's falling, you come with some positivity. Thank you for that, and thank you for the generosity and for the donation. Thank you all for the donations. Veritax, thank you for the donation. $5 donation. He says, WVU fans, buckle up if head coach Brown contract drops to $9 million from $14 million owed at season end. We can't fire him till then. That's fair. Actually, I don't think it's yeah, I think there's a $4 million decline each year, if I'm not mistaken. And if he leaves, if he's fired, he gets 75% of what they owe him total. So it's not 100% guaranteed anymore, but he will get 75% of it if they fire him. He's going to cost us. Jim McClanahan says no one has taken him. It's not okay. Golf says he's going to cost us way more than that if we do not get rid of him. Redbone says, why not let Nico look? Offenses. I don't think offense is the problem, Redbone. Defense is the issue. I don't want to like Garrett Green. Did he play his best game today? No, but it's not his fault we lost the game. He made some plays. They picked up a couple big fourth downs, a couple third, those passes he had to Traylon Ray. The one touchdown catch in the end zone. Awesome catch by Justin Robinson, by the way. Yeah, I did look at him, man. West Virginia won the game statistically. Let's look at him again, though. It's a great point. For those of you who may have got on late, West Virginia was 3 of 14 on third down, 3 of 4 on fourth down. Pitt was only 1 of 8 on drive-ending plays. Total yards, West Virginia had 401, Pitt 379. Passing, West Virginia 210, Pitt 301. Garrett did throw 2 picks. Holstein did not. Rushing, 191 for West Virginia, only 78 for Pitt. So the rushing defense was good for West Virginia. They gave up only 2.7 yards per rush. West Virginia had 7 penalties for 67 yards, but, man, they were at terrible times in the game. Pitt had 12 penalties for 112 yards. Obviously, Garrett had the 2 turnovers. And then the time of possession. West Virginia wins the time of possession 36 to 24, to use round numbers. 36 to 24. Unbelievable. West Virginia just didn't make plays at crunch time. At the end of the day, when it was time to make a play, West Virginia did not, and Pitt did. That's what it boils down to. West Virginia had chances. They had an interception they could have caught. It would have been a pick 6. Probably would have changed the game. They had obviously that touchdown to Hudson Clement that got called back because of what I thought was a ticky-tack holding penalty that should have never been called. But nonetheless, it was a hold. Is what it is. All right. I got somebody going to jump on here. Let me send him the link here real quick. My partner Jonathan's going to jump on here. We'll get his thoughts. Get him on here, see what he has to say. But yeah, I mean, West Virginia won in almost every statistical category. I think I got another super chat here. Yep. Pitt John Waffle H2P says, why do you act like WV is Alabama? This is normal for West Virginia. Stop being delusional. Thank you for the 499 super chat. Nobody said we were Alabama. How about you stop acting like Pitt is Penn State? Okay. How you like that? Tax Sprint. I already read that one, but thank you again for the super chat. Let's see. Jeff Ruff says won in every statistical category except coaching. And that's fair. Brad Boo says, I'd advise the rest of you to not watch any more games for your own sanity. Question, would you rather have Skylar Howard or Garrett Green starting for WVU? That's a good question. I don't know, man. I love GG. I really do. And I'm not putting this at his feet. This was the defense that lost this game, point blank. The secondary primarily. Defensive line played their tails off. But again, you know, there are plays. The offense did leave plays out there. Not going to lie. I got Jonathan Martin's going to come on and join me here. He's the co-host of the Golden Blue Breakdown show with me. I got a huge crowd on here, 1,403 people watching between Twitter and YouTube. What a great audience here. You guys make this old West Virginia boy feel good. You've really helped me. To be honest with you, from the beginning of the show to now, you all have helped me calm down a little bit. John, you haven't won a national championship in my lifetime. So I don't know what you guys are just, you guys think you're something that you're not. I mean, bottom line. Good luck in ACC play. You're probably going to get it handed to you. You guys got lucky tonight because West Virginia's a better football team than you are, than Pitt, other than one position, and that's the one that hurt us. And you probably have better coaches than we do, maybe. What's up?
Hey, what's going on?
I'm doing a little bit better since I've been on here venting for an hour.
Yep. Well, I had to take some time.
I get it. I got on here and threw a temper tantrum and let everybody see it.
Well, I understand. Had to take some time.
I get it.
Wow. You know, it's a little different, right?
Yep.
And I've just kind of got some stuff here, just kind of looking over, you know, it's like you watch it, you see it. But just kind of going over some comments after the game, some stats. I'm sure you all have touched on a lot, but it just disappointing. Can't happen. Under no world should West Virginia have lost that football game up 10 with inside of 5 minutes to go. But, and I think the frustrating part, you know, for me is we all saw it coming, right? I mean, we've read that book before. Yeah. we've read the book. We've seen it play out before. I said at the end of our show, our Gold and Blue Breakdown show that we did for this show for the Pitt game, we talked about the secondary and easy fixes, and it was simple, and it was some technique, and obviously here we are after the third game, and it's not fixed. It apparently wasn't that simple, and so just frustrating, whether it be penalties. I don't know, man. Frustrating.
Yeah. Jeff Ruff said it. Who's already got the paper bag profile pic.
There's my guy.
He says, we've read the book 31 times in 6 years.
It's a good way to put it.
Yep.
Well said.
Jeff and I have had our disagreements on Twitter, man, but he's always supported me, and he's always real. I'll give it to him.
Yeah. I completely agree. It just unbelievably frustrating.
Yep. Yeah, I just don't see. I mean, John, have you looked at the stats at all?
Yeah, and that's what I'm kind of doing. Watch the game, spend a little time with the family as soon as it was over to kind of just break from it. So wanted to jump on with you. It was just kind of going through some stats and some post-game quotes now that Neil spoke. Was curious to see what he had to say.
I'll put myself through that torture later.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to, usually when I do a podcast or we do our show, I want to see if my eyes were right. And just another performance of giving up 300 yards.
Yeah, I did see on Twitter that he basically said, it is what it is. We just can't cover the pass, essentially, is what he said.
Here's his quote, Couz. Quote, let's just say what it is. We didn't defend the pass very good. 379 passing yards today, and the quarterback ran around us. Then he said, quote, when it happens 3 weeks in a row, it kind of is what it is. You have to assess it. When you don't cover very well 3 weeks in a row, it's an issue. I'm not hiding from it. It's an issue. And here's probably the one that I thought caught my attention most. This is a Neil Brown quote just a bit ago.
Yep.
Our personnel is our personnel. It's not like we've got people waiting in the bullpen.
He said that out loud.
That's a quote. Our personnel is our personnel. It's not like we got people waiting in the bullpen.
Is half of his job not to get the people in the bullpen?
Jordan Leslie said it was an easy fix. Well, yes, you're right. It's his job. They recruit these guys. They recruit them.
That just made me more angry. I ain't gonna lie to you.
That was I'll be honest. When I saw that quote, that's when I sent you and said, "Hey, you still on?" Because
he just threw his players under the bus, man.
Threw him under the bus. The one who recruited him threw him under the bus. That's a quote. He also had a pretty interesting quote. I don't know if you saw Pat Narduzzi's comment on the field post-game interview
about the referee.
Yeah, so they asked Neil about that, and his quote was, and I won't use the language, I think that's BS.
Mm-hmm.
The officials, I'm not real pleased with them either, so I don't know about that. But I just thought that the comment about the personnel and we don't have – it's not like we got people waiting in the bullpen.
If I were his players, I would be really mad about that quote.
It's tough. And now we're in a bad spot because you take a team by all measure was supposed to be pretty good. 9 games last year, some major portal additions in the secondary, a schedule that was favorable. Not started Big 12 play yet. You thought you might get Kansas at home, kind of reeling a little bit. And yeah, that's a tough one. I don't know what happens from here.
I don't either. I mean, apparently he has no faith in his own players.
Yeah.
Then why did they tell us all off season, how talented this team was?
Yeah.
That was very telling, Jonathan. I'm glad you shared that, man. I really do. That really helped me make some decisions in my own head about what I want to happen going forward. Or not happen or whatever.
It's a bad look.
Yeah, and he kind of stuck his foot in his mouth with the whole Alabama comment earlier in the week. It's almost as if he's at a point where he don't care anymore. And I don't mean when I say don't care, he don't care what people think anymore, which is probably not good either, because that's where Mike Gundy is. Mike Gundy's the type of guy that can say whatever he wants in press conferences, but you know what? Mike Gundy's earned that.
Yeah.
Mike Gundy wins 10 games a year, basically, at his school, and has for the last 15 years.
Yeah.
Neil Brown has not earned the right to say whatever he wants in press conferences, in my opinion. But anyway.
Yeah, frustrating, man. I don't know where you go from here. You're 1-2. You've got Kansas coming in, and they're licking their chops. I mean, it's documented Jalen Daniels' struggles even last night and on to the season. But let me ask you a question. What gives anybody any confidence whatsoever that this secondary can stop anybody, whether they're struggling or not?
Look, Eli Holstein is not a bad quarterback. Don't get me wrong.
He's
okay,
not.
But he's also not a Heisman Trophy candidate. You know what I mean? He's not he probably will be a great quarterback down the road, but he's only a redshirt freshman.
Yeah.
This was his third game starting.
Yep.
Jonathan.
Yep.
We had 3 guys covering one. And they came down with the one came down. This is so much like the 2022 season. It is unbelievable how much like it is.
I know.
Unbelievable. The only difference is we played Pitt first that year. And we had Virginia Tech on the schedule that year, who was, a bad team as well. We don't have any bad teams on the schedule this year, I don't think, at least not in out of conference. Because I don't think Pitt's I think Pitt will be a bowl team at least, if not more.
Yeah, they look good.
They have a lot of weaknesses, but I think they'll make a bowl game for sure.
Yeah.
That Virginia Tech team only won 3 games that year, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Pitt's listen, let's be honest. Pitt's not a bad football team. Holstein's young, but at some point you have to tip your cap. I mean, he's 300 yards in every game he started. Last week he was really good against Cincinnati. I think it was 11 of 12, 12 of 13 in that fourth quarter. And then again this week. I just did, and you might have talked about this, but did you not feel like we kind of played to lose when you had that ball after?
Yes. Yeah. I had some, before you came on, I was letting people come on and vent. I let some of the viewers come on and vent. Almost every single one of them said that exact same thing.
Yeah. It was just halfback.
How many times do you run your slowest running back? Okay. It ain't CJ Donaldson's not fleet of foot. Okay. He played his tail off today. Okay. He's an awesome running back and I love him, but his strength is to get downhill quick and hit the hole quick, not to run outside the tackles.
Yeah.
They ran that stretch run play outside the tackles 3 friggin' times, John.
Over and over. And
it never gained a yard.
No. Just kept doing it. And here was my thought. When you were up when you're up 3 and they marched the ball down the field, they tinkered in. That drive they played not to lose. They were going and getting the game. There were some pass plays out in the flats, hit a tight end. It just and then it's like all of a sudden we hit 3 minutes to go, 3.5 minutes to go in the game, and playing to not lose. It just got real conservative.
Yeah,
real conservative.
I'm going to address this comment by Talk is Pitt, and I'm going to have to jump off here in a minute. I got to take someone home here, but Talk is Pitt. It's a delusional comment, man. Number one, I never said Garrett Green was a Heisman quarterback. I've never said that. Never thought he was. 2, you have played us, who is one of the worst secondaries in the country. 131 out of 134 to be exact. Okay, per PFF. So to throw for 300 yards on us is not anything to brag about. An FCS quarterback did it a week ago. 2, it was your other team was against Cincinnati, who's not very good, and you did it against Kent State, who may be the worst G5 team in the country. So I wouldn't throw his name into the Heisman conversation just yet. But and 2, I never offended the guy. I never said he was bad. I just said he's not Caleb Williams or Dylan Gabriel or one of the great quarterbacks. He's a good quarterback, and he has a chance to be great, but he's not yet.
Hey, I like Holstein. I've said it. 3 career starts, 300 yards in each game, 3 touchdowns in each game. Look, I'm not wearing one, but if I was, I'd tip my cap to you. But he's not Heisman. Let's tap the brakes on that.
Chris D says they were running that stretch play like they had Slayton or Devine back there.
We can only hope, wish.
Yeah. Got another. Yeah, go ahead.
No, just saying. Yeah, I mean that was mind-boggling to me that they just kept running it over and over and over.
Yep. Big Dan T with a $9.99 donation. Thank you, Big Dan T. He says, "Coaching. This is coaching. Period. The reason you lose a game in the last 2 minutes, when up by 10, is coaching. I hate that Pitt SOB, but he is a good coach. I'm sick." Well said.
Yeah. I'm trying to
couch PSU fan. I'm not sure what he's talking about, but thank you for the donation, John. John's one of those people that'll pay you just to troll you. If you want to send me money, I'll let you troll me, man. He would only win the Heisman if he faced our defense in every game.
so would I, Couz. I'm out of eligibility.
Yeah, me too. I'm a little bit old. That's the comment of the show, brother. I love it.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Oh, I do want to give a hat tip to Justin Robinson's awesome catch.
No.
I want to give a hat tip to CJ. He ran his absolute tail off. I thought our O-line played well today. And our defensive front played their absolute tails off today. Did they not?
Yeah.
They almost saved the game. They almost won the game for us, to be honest.
I thought they were extremely active.
The linebackers played decent.
They did.
And I hope Reed Carrico's okay. I'm not sure what injury he had, but I don't think he ever came back. From it.
Yeah. Yeah, but I thought Trey Lathan was real active. TJ Jackson was obviously extremely, extremely active. I just hate it, man. I hate it. I hate to have something that was there for the taking. And it sounds redundant over and over and over, but you can't lose a football game when you're up 10 with less than 5 minutes to go. And it almost was it was almost not to the extent, but it was almost 2 years ago when he punted. It was playing to lose.
I'm telling you, this is turning into the 2022 season again, man. We had all the hype for JT Daniels. We had all the hype for the second. They kept talking about how athletic the secondary was. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Because they had lost a bunch of guys to the portal, and in order to keep everybody positive, they were bench. I swear, I think they just make stuff up to keep everybody from panicking.
Yeah.
I'm now convinced of that.
After last season, we were sold.
I drank the Kool-Aid, man. I drank it, gulped it down, 3 or 4 different servings of it, man.
I had somebody about 15 minutes before I came on here texted me he was going to send Neil Brown a bill for $900 and some because they went to the game today. Loaded up, went to the game for that performance. Yeah. And I'm afraid what's going to happen is, look, the kids played their tails off. Okay, you've got some serious coaching question marks here that have been year after year after year. And I tweeted this. I am in 3 games in. I've lost virtually all excitement for the season. And I hate it. But I don't know what you can find to give us any hope for the rest of the year. I guess you could say we've not played a Big 12 game. It's wide open. But what have we seen through 3 games this year that gives us any hope? I don't know. I mean, we could say 49 points to Albany, but
it's Albany.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Vegas picked, or I think was it, but yeah, Vegas had an over under win total before the season at 6.5. ESPN had us at 6.5. I guess, we all, a lot of us, I don't want to say you, but a lot of West Virginia fans thought that was ridiculous, myself included. I guess they knew something we didn't.
Yeah. Yeah. And the penalties were a problem. They were a problem on both sides. But
they had 120 yards in penalties, Jonathan. So for him to get, and I get that some of those calls were ticky tack, but they were the right call in most cases, in my opinion. I mean, by the rule of the law, they were the right call. But there was a couple of them that were ticky tack, and they probably should have let go because they weren't calling them on Pitt.
Yeah,
but they did make calls on Pitt too. You know what I mean? It ain't like it was one sided.
Oh no. I'm just. It's just ironic that we're sitting here searching for the words because I'm almost just kind of speechless.
I was when I first came on. I sat here for like 5 seconds and I didn't know how to open the show. Like I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
Exact same thing I went through a year ago after the Houston game.
Oh. Yeah. So now I think the question goes to where do you go from here?
Yep.
How many football games does this team win?
I'm gonna have to go back and reevaluate. I think I said earlier in the show 6. If they can get 6, we'll be lucky. They might still beat Kansas because it's a home game. They might beat Cincinnati at home, Baylor at home, maybe Texas Tech, but they scored 52 today.
Because Texas Tech will score 100 on the last game of the year.
What do you think Noah Fafita and Teddy Roy McMillan's going to do to us?
Yeah. At Kansas at home, Oklahoma State on the road, Iowa State at home,
loss.
Kansas State at home,
loss.
At Arizona,
loss.
At Cincinnati,
win.
I mean, and I don't even feel good about that. I don't feel good. Baylor at home, UCF at home, which at last check was going toe-to-toe with TCU in Fort Worth, and then at Texas Tech, who's I have to be honest, pains me to say 5.
I'm telling you, it's 2022. 5-7. This team finishes 5-7.
I'll say this, and I want to be clear. I try my best to refrain from calling for firings and all that stuff, and I'm not going to do it here. But I'll say this: the 2 biggest games of your season. When Pitt's on it, it's always your biggest game of the season. Mm-hmm. Penn State at home, and everything that was built up, and you laid an egg. It was terrible. You beat an FCS opponent and then Pitt. You're 0 for 2 in the games you needed. And if you won against Pitt, you maybe would have been forgiven for Penn State.
Agreed.
Not now.
Yeah.
And so I don't know where we go from here. But I have a feeling that this is going to get ugly quick.
Yeah.
That's just That's
Agreed,
a feeling
man.
I have.
Yeah, I agree. I got to run, but real quick, I'm going to address Timothy's comment. Timothy, they were basically playing a prevent defense, putting everybody back to keep everything in front of them, and they still couldn't stop the pass. If that tells you anything. All right, well, guys, I got to run. I have somewhere I have to go. Jonathan, thanks for hopping on here with me, man.
Hey, you got it, man.
Enjoy time with your family the rest of the night.
Yep, same to you.
See you, brother.
See you.
Guys, I am out. I have to roll. Thank you all for coming on, making this, helping me to get through this evening. It really helps me to get on here and vent to you guys and share my feelings and emotions and you know, even show my passion, maybe throw a little bit of a temper tantrum. But anyway, nonetheless, thank you all for coming on. Appreciate it. Good night. I still got to say it, guys. I still love them. Q Country Roads.